Well, that was fucking wild. I'm Joe Renton with my review of NXT Takeover WarGames 2020. The women and the men in the respective WarGames matches. Bravo. Fucking bravo. I'm going to have more praise for those matches as things go on. And I'm going to have some criticisms for a few things in the other matches. Because this was not a perfect show, but the women and the men in the WarGames matches, fucking hell, they over-delivered. I hope they're all okay. That was really fucking brutal. And for different reasons. The women went all out and the men went all out. My God, just full of fucking craziness. Just a wild, wild ride in both matches. I like the fold-out cage panels in the Capitol Wrestling Center. Since it's a performance center, I didn't know how they were going to do 2 rings. They somehow managed to do it. Bravo to them. And it just did look really goddamn cool. Candice out in Black Wings. The Black Wings having more personality than she could ever hope to have. And Shotzi is in a new tank. TCB. Cool. All right, whatever. Hey, she's in a new tank. It's cool. It's the women's WarGames match kicking off, and the show pretty much blew its load right here, and I had to take a bit of a rest to reload, for the second round with the men's WarGames main event. Women's WarGames is Team Shotzi, Shotzi Blackheart, Ember Moon, Rhea Ripley, and Io Shirai, the current NXT Women's Champion, versus Candice LeRae, Team Candice, obviously, so Candice LeRae, Raquel Gonzalez, Dakota Kai, and Toni Storm. I want to say right now, fucking hell, this was goddamn great. All these women showed off. And yes, I pick on Candice for not having any personality, but she can fucking work. And she worked here. There was some really good psychology and some really good stuff here. It also got a little fucking silly with all the weapons. I mean, it really fucking did. And if I'm going to criticize AEW for doing that, I gotta kind of criticize WWE for going a little bit overboard. But that's on creative. I am not going to fault the women at all for what they fucking did here because they made the most of just, going out there. They're like, we're going to fucking steal the show. You want to have us open the goddamn show? You don't think we can main event? We're going to fucking prove that we can main event. Ember and Dakota just starting off. Lots of mounting and fisting action. I usually have to go to a different kind of website to see that. And man, if there's one thing I love is seeing 8 women just brutally fist, mount, and just pound each other down. Again, I also probably should go delete my search history, but moving on from that, Ember and Dakota starting off with some really good wrestling. And then Shotzi out next because her team has the advantage. She grabs Devon Storm, different kind of crowbar, and a toolbox because we need to get more weapons in there. She should have found a way to throw her goddamn tank in there. How cool would that have been? I don't know how they would have worked around it. Have the tank turn into a goddamn transformer. But anyway, Raquel's in next, and she shows off a great power. Raquel Gonzalez was the MVP of this match, and that's no disrespect to anybody else. She got a chance to fucking shine for at least 25 minutes. This match went on a goddamn while. So the men's WarGames match, I mean, fucking hell. But they made the most of it, and they did really, really good work here. But Raquel, her getting to shine, her getting to face off against Rhea Ripley, again, calling back to their Halloween Havoc match, the standout match on what was a really bad Halloween Havoc show, in my personal opinion. Check out my review of that if you want. But when I saw Rhea and Raquel there, I'm like, death by snoo snoo. That's exactly what I thought, because I am a rational thinking human that always, thinks in perfectly, formed references, nothing, totally random like Futurama. But honestly, that'd be a hell of a way to go. Moving on from that. Dakota whipped into the wall. That was really fucking brutal. I mean, she just, Rhea just whipping her into the wall. And then also, she got the Peter Gabriel-inspired sledgehammer. Why don't you call my ow? Ow. Why did you hit me with that? That was brutal. It was actually more of a mallet, but still. And then Tony's in next with kendo sticks. And yeah, I am in love. I love Toni Storm, in all honesty. Got to meet her at an indie show a couple years ago. And I'm not going to say that I would take a lashing from her with that kendo stick, except that's exactly what I'm saying. Juice Robinson is a fucking lucky guy. Best wishes to them in the future. Honestly, they seem like a great couple. So, Io then comes out last. She's getting ladders, and then she's getting knocked out of the cage because they're like, hey, she's the current women's champion. We beat the shit out of her. She's probably mad. Let's just keep her out. And by the way, Io Shirai really fucking good. So let's just keep Io Shirai out of the goddamn match. And then Candice is out last. And Indy Hartwell helps keep Io down. Indy Hartwell, just fucking goddamn Christ. Statuesque, talented, beautiful. They need to feature her on NXT TV more in 2021. She really does have the look. Maybe she can rub off some of her personality on Candice. No, not like that. I run a clean show. And then so much stick usage. My God, a lot of kendo sticks being used. And then Io gets in a trash can, gets up on the cage, puts a trash can on her, and then just does a dive. The trashiest dive I've ever seen. I worked hard on that joke. Laugh, damn you. Moving on. She just takes out everybody, but Io's just goddamn insane. Evil would know that. And double submissions by Candice and Shotzi. Shotzi with a beautiful submission on Toni Storm. And then we get, I'm not going to call every spot in this goddamn match because I wrote just some of these down. And it clips onto some chairs. Dakota Kai getting wiped out. Ouch, ouch. That looked fucking painful. Really fucking painful. And after all this madness, all this stuff, Raquel Gonzalez has Io Shirai, set up. She has a ladder set up in the ropes. And in the middle, there's a metal panel, basically to prevent people from sinking down into the bottom, which actually does make sense. You don't want to twist an ankle going through the two rings. And she hits the one-arm bomb finisher she has right on Io Shirai through the wooden metal ladder and pins her 1, 2, 3. Raquel Gonzalez taking the title from Io Shirai? Wouldn't actually mind that. She may not. They may give it to somebody else, but that's strapping the Rocket to Raquel Gonzalez, much like the Rocket got strapped to Rhea Ripley last year at Women's WarGames when she beat Shayna Baszler. Pretty good shit. Really, really good shit. Was a bit surprised that Team Candice won, despite not having the advantage. And I was surprised, but you know what? Not going to complain. The women fucking killed it. This was really good shit. Hats off, once again, hats off to the women. Was it too crazy? Did they have a few too many weapons? Did they go a little bit long? Sure, but you could say that about the men's match also. So, if I'm going to say about the men, then I got to say about the women. If I'm going to say about the women, got to say about the men. The whole point is, this match is fucking crazy. One of my favorite matches of the year. This is how you can feature women who are talented and, on American promotion, AEW, and actually show that, hey, you could show what your women can do, and maybe if you had proper women signed instead of women that have potential but aren't as green as grass, then you could do something like this. But hats off to all the women. Seriously, this was fucking great. And this Wednesday, all thighs will go back on the Prince. Stop thinking about that, Karen. Stop thinking about that. Why are you still thinking about it? And Noah, if you're watching this, you're thinking about that too. Moving on. Ciampa versus Timothy Thatcher with the Proud Boy ref. I want to go right on record right now and say that Drake Wirtz or Worst or whatever, he's the worst kind of ref that they could have. And he needs to go back to his parlor and fuck the hell off. You can have different opinions, but don't be a racist Proud Boy, stupid motherfucker like that guy. Moving on. Ciampa also has a certain blue something or other wristband. Gee. And somebody told me that that's a certain type of, it supports a certain type of movement that supports racism. Let's just say that. Ciampa doing that, though, doesn't necessarily surprise me because Ciampa ain't exactly the smartest guy. Great wrestler, though. That being said, it was well wrestled. Here's the problem. After that match, I didn't really care. I really didn't. Thatcher's ear was bleeding at one point. What surprised me was Ciampa getting the victory. I'm moving on from this because this was well wrestled. Of the 3 non-WarGames matches, this was the best one. And it didn't have any goofiness. I also didn't care about this feud because they'd beaten Thatcher into powder, so I didn't buy him as a threat. And I figured, okay, they're going to have him beat Ciampa. They didn't. And I don't fucking understand it. And it was just really fucking weird. He beat him with Willow's Bell. If they had Thatcher built up and then had Ciampa win, whatever, I don't know. It just didn't work for me. What really didn't work for me was Dexter Loomis versus Cameron Grimes in a strap match. Let me say right now that I like Dexter Loomis. I liked him as Sam Shaw. I like the character. Cameron Grimes I like as a performer, but they have made him a comedy goof. And this did nothing to give me confidence that they're going to use him all that properly later on. Grimes attacks before the bell. Come on, refs, strap these men together, says Wade Barrett. Wade, whatever you're into, I'm not going to kink shame you. I did not care. Dumped onto the concrete at one point. Loomis just taking a hell of a goddamn bump. The ring announcer was scared of the strap, as was everybody. Flashbacks possibly. So much whipping action and shots of women banging on the walls of the CWC. And then the silence gets locked in. This was not a good match. This was twice as long as it needed to be. They should have fucking cut this down. And I stopped caring about this feud when they did the Haunted House of Terror match. When they did that, I'm like, fuck it. I give up. I give up. They're going to have to do a complete reset, get these guys away from each other. It's really, really fucking bad. There are some people that like this match. I didn't mind them using the strap, but again, it went on way too long. If this had been a blood feud for 6 months, I would have bought into it, but I didn't buy into it here. A Vulture video. Cross is back. Probably going to come after Balor. He's going to, have his thighs on the Prince while Scarlett watches. What are my reviews even on about anymore? Damian Priest versus Leon Ruff versus Johnny Gargano North American Championship. The North American Championship means absolutely fuck and all. That's what I wrote. This was not a good match. Priest can work. Ruff can work. Gargano can work. He has no personality. He is Mr. Personality, but has none of his own. It's just fucking hell. He's not interesting. And I'm over Gargano as champion. He won it here. Priest tossing Ruff into a wall. It collapses. Ruff's taken away. It comes back later. Priest, just shined the most. And Gargano can work, but here's the thing. I've seen all this shit with him. Ruff got to show off and do some good stuff. Priest got tied up in the rope. He got freed quickly. And then a whole bunch of ghost faces show up. Oh boy, great. More of this. Great. More ghost faces. Because it was so bad the first time, let's keep doing it. Well, wait, there's a special ghost face that drapes his pipe all over a Priest. And one final beat. 1, 2, 3. Ruff gets pinned and it's new champion. And it's Austin Theory. It was me. The callback to the it was me Austin thing was kind of nice. And of course, Austin Theory would be wearing the Halloween costume that is most popular among 13-year-olds because that's his demographic. That's the age he goes for. I'm not apologizing for that shit. Austin Theory, I don't care if he can work. I'm fucking over the guy. He's also bland as hell, and this didn't work for me. This did not work for me at all. Just take the North American Championship, throw it in the goddamn trash. Just fucking throw it away. It was a mistake to begin with. If you're just going to keep tossing it around, Lee was the champion, became double champion by beating Cole, vacated the championship. Okay, that was in mid-July, right? Priest wins at TakeOver 31, I believe, in August. Loses it to Gargano at Halloween Havoc. Okay, so that's 2 title changes right there. Okay. And then Gargano loses it to Ruff. So that's 3. And now Gargano wins it back. That's too many title changes. This is not 1999 with the WWE Championship. This is not 2000 with the WCW Championship because the title would have changed 8 times because Russo's a fucking idiot and always will be and should have never been allowed in wrestling. Moving on. I do not care about the North American Championship anymore. Just throw it in the trash. Now, New Year's Evil. Apparently, they watched that 1980 film, that horror film, that crazy horror film. It was like Christmas Evil, only worse. And decide, hey, we're going to name something like that. It's 41 years later. Fuck it, just name it. I don't care. Men's WarGames match. Undisputed Era versus McAfee's team. And the Proud Boy ref is back there also. Great, good, whatever. Fucking idiot. So O'Reilly and Pete Dunne start, and they do some nice, good wrestling. I'm going to skip through some of this stuff because a lot of it was really just good wrestling for the most part. Oni gets in next, and more good wrestling and stuff like that. This took a bit to go. I did write down, though, this would have belonged in Jim Crockett Promotions, as insane as it got at the end. For a while, I was going to say this, but still, it would, because Jim Crockett Promotions and Dusty's booking got all insane. Fish gets in next. A little bit of the ultra-violence, because we just had to get, we had to get some blood at one point. And inadvertent blood, but still, it was something, it was something graphic. Just because the refs got on, and you can see the camera's cutting away, so clearly somebody was bleeding pretty goddamn bad. Oni was really bleeding by the end. And not as bad as Thatcher, though. I hope Thatcher's okay. That fucking ear. Good God. Birch brings in a few cricket bats. Because why not? Because why not bring in some cricket bats? And then here's Roderick Strong. And then McAfee gets in last for his team. And then here's where things get really good, because McAfee gets a whole bunch of tables, and they have the names and the symbol painted of all the Undisputed Era members. And then Cole gets in, and then he gets the extinguisher to extinguish the problem, and then it really gets insane, because Pat's like, oh, big brain, me have big brain, and then he's getting targeted sometimes, but his teammates are always there to save him. It's classic stuff. Really good, like if just a guy fish out of water, no, not Bobby Fish, but just totally like out of his element, even though he's a really great athlete. Once it got down to him versus Cole or whoever one-on-one, he couldn't do anything unless he got an advantage, as great of an athlete as he is. And he played his role perfectly. I'd like to take this opportunity to say I was completely wrong about Pat McAfee being great for NXT. I'm not saying he's the greatest thing ever, but he's a big fan. He knows what he knows, but he doesn't pretend to know everything because he's a celebrity and a great athlete. And you could tell that people were leading him here, but he carried his end up. And this is fucking wonderful. Figure 4 on Cole. The tables got into play. And I am the table. At one point, Pete Dunne not crashing into Danny Burch hard enough. And then Roderick Strong had to basically bash them both through there. And the table still barely broke. Pat landing badly, going backwards right through a table, and it was just about 6 inches to a foot too far out. His head hit bad. It wasn't the worst landing that Pat McAfee had. Because then he, after some cage wall action, and Pat got ganged up on for a bit, it got back to 4-on-4. Pat's up on the cage and just suddenly says, okay, swanton. And he just hits, oh God, he hit like a freaking, it was really really goddamn painful, that is. And then we got the spot we got a suplex on the metal barrier between the rings. That was painful. We got a spear into the table. We got a Panama Sunrise on Pat for 2. That's where it lost me a little bit. Now, I'm not knocking Pat. I'm knocking whoever made that decision. Probably the Proud Boy ref, because he doesn't fucking care, because he has no goddamn brain. But whoever made that decision, that was a really bad idea. Because now, don't do the Panama Sunrise anymore. Don't fucking do it. There's no fucking reason. Because if Pat McAfee can kick out as good as he is, it doesn't help the move. Excuse me. It doesn't help the move be all that, devastating. It looks cool, but Pat's gonna kick out of it. And bitter end into the chair. I'm amazed that both those guys did not shatter their shoulder, their neck, whatever. That was brutal. And then knee drop onto a chair. Oni getting his face smashed into a chair. And O'Reilly gets to cover 1, 2, 3. Fucking fantastic. Fantastic stuff. Even with the stuff I hated, whatever. That was a great ending. The women and the men in the WarGames matches. Humans said to be together. They fucking killed it. Great way to bookend the show. Let me know what you guys think in the comments. Like, share, subscribe. Twitter handle in the description. I'm John Ritlin. I'll see you soon.